At AVNR, our mission is to humanize robotics. We decided to create this podcast series to help you demystify the world of robotics and discover what some of the brightest minds in the field are doing. Welcome to Robotics for All Podcasts by AVNR.
We are excited to welcome Rassan Elefrangi, the founder and CEO of Aerospace Industrial Automation. Rassan has a background in civil engineering and a passion for problem solving, and quickly found his calling into industrial robotics. At AIA, he helps manufacturers and aerospace companies boost productivity through automation solutions. Rassan started his company in the GCC, Gulf Cooperation Council, because of the large growth of manufacturing and robotics within this group of countries. The group includes Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. In this episode, we talk about the region's Vision 2030 plan and how it is driving the growth of manufacturing as the countries involved look to reduce their reliance on oil and gas. Stay with us as Rassan and I unfold the story of the GCC and their Vision 2030, their approach to robotics, manufacturing, and technology. He gives us a first-hand insight into the area of the world that is striving to transform itself into a great place to live, work, and start a business. You won't want to miss out on this enlightening conversation that touches upon SME manufacturing in the Middle East and their ambition to automate 4,000 factories by 2035. Hope everyone enjoys the show. Here we go. Hello, Rassan. Thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, happy to be here, Michael.
Good. It looks like a nice sunny day for you in Qatar.
Yes, golden hour.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think our meeting today brought some sunshine to Montreal. We're on day 3 of sun here, so it's been
fantastic.
We need lots more. So really appreciate you taking some time with me. I'd love to, got some fascinating topics. I want to talk with you and hear what's going on in the GCC, the Gulf Cooperation Council, and what it's all about, and the Vision 2030 that's been outlined by a few of the partner countries in the region. And for us, what triggered my interest in all of this, in how it associates to robotics. And in the GCC, there's a spotlight on Saudi Arabia's remarkable growth in the sector. There's some stats that during our conversation before, you and I talked about this, but
right.
I'll just say it. By Q2 of 2023, the kingdom reported 2,344 robotics companies, which represented a 52% increase from the previous year. And as part of this Vision 2030 goal to automate 4,000 factories by 2035. So, that region has put together quite a vision for themselves, and it sounds to be really exciting, and things are taking off. So, but let's start at the beginning. Explain to me, what is the GCC? Who are the members, and what is the Vision 2030?
Awesome. So pretty exciting stuff happening here actually for this topic, specifically the 2030 vision. Some countries have also divided their strategies into two milestones. Like Bahrain, they have started from 2030, and then they are aiming for 2050. But let's start from the GCC. The GCC is the Gulf Corporate Council. It's, for those who don't know, it's a regional and a political economic alliance that was formed in the early 80s by 6 Arab states of the Gulf, most notably Saudi Arabia, the biggest in terms of land area, Oman, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Bahrain, and Kuwait. And the main objective behind those 6 Arab countries is to enhance the economic, the political, and the security cooperation between them all, to promoting a regional stability and unity, to coordinate laws, customs, finance, and trade, also to create a common market. So this is, in a nutshell, what GCC countries are. And for the 2030 vision, we can put it like a long-term national transformation plan that was launched by several of them. Some GCC countries are following this vision. It has not yet been set, but they are, in the talk of establishing this vision, because it differs from one country to another, but they all collectively have the same 2030 vision.
Okay.
But most notably, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia also adopted the 2030 in varying forms. Also, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and Qatar. Those are the four countries that have really invested into the beginning of the early 2000s into thinking ahead of the 2030 vision. But those strategies, they aim to mainly diversify their economies away from oil dependency. As we know, the GCC is very rich in oil dependency. All to foster their innovation, the private sector growth, and sustainability, which is a huge talk for the 2030 vision. We'll come into that during our talk. But if I'll take Saudi Arabia as the main player here and talk about what are the pillars behind their 2030 vision, we can divide them into a couple of sectors. I don't want to number them because I don't want to miss. I'm just gonna say what is the 2030 vision in a whole. They are looking to have a vibrant society by enhancing their culture, promoting their culture worldwide in terms of media, participating in global events, by having a lot of entertainment. They have brought a lot of entertainers, worldwide recognized entertainment singers, and also they are enhancing the quality of life. We are living in a very dry and desert area, so there's a lot of infrastructure in the greenery, bike tracks. I know you like biking, so they are doing a lot of bike tracks. Yes. Air-conditioned bike tracks, so you can also.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I guess the air conditioning's a requirement, right? Because I think your summers, or you call them your winters, are just as complicated as our winters, except they're opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
We have complications. Exactly. Super cold, but you guys are, it's super hot to do anything.
We are in extreme heat.
Yeah.
We are like I think today it was 50 degrees Celsius in the afternoon.
What?
So, yeah.
Wow.
It's a very tough environment. But going back to my point, other than the vibrant society part of the 2030 vision, also they want a thriving economy. Since the discovery of oil back in the 50s or the early 40s, they are looking to, have local industries, have job creation, and supporting entrepreneurship. It's a very an ambitious nation, let's put it this way, promoting transparency, e-governance, and fiscal responsibility, if we can put it this way. So these are, we can put it like the main pillars. I know perhaps we're going to focus today on the industries in terms of robotics and automation for the 2030 vision. We have started by those massive numbers that you have mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
But it is also important to why to diversify their economy, even though they are they are wealthy and they don't need that kind of direction, since they can support themselves having this oil dependency. But they have, as I mentioned, historically dependent on oil revenues. So the 2030 kind of focus on a non-oil sectors like tourism and technology, logistics, manufacturing. Also, they are
sports is also part of that, right?
Yes, most notably the most watched game in the world, which is the World Cup, which happened here in Qatar, which I had the privilege to watch in 2022.
And a
Um,
lot of famous players have come over to play soccer and football in
yes,
the region. And then
definitely.
there's the
Most
golf tournament, Live the Golf, the Professional Golf Association, which is,
that
you
is
know,
true.
creeping up and, stepping on PGA toes, but it's certainly gained a lot of attention here, that's for sure.
I mean, since we're talking about Saudi, I mean, they unfortunately he just decided to leave Saudi, which I'm talking about Cristiano Ronaldo,
Okay.
the most
Okay.
famous soccer player.
Yeah.
Neymar was in Saudi.
Yep.
Benzema was in Saudi as well.
Yeah.
Xavi Alonso from Barcelona was coaching here in Qatar, also a player before. So yeah, sports is a huge factor in the area, which is smart because sports brings a lot of attention,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
with this attention, you will start to investigate more. Like, what is there more than sports? So
Right. And here we are,
uh,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So everyone is now like, what is the GCC? What are they doing? Let's
Yeah.
go visit it. Just like what happened in 2018 in Russia, everybody started
Hmm.
going to visit Russia after the World Cup to see what it is,
Yeah.
to introduce themselves to the culture, get to
Hmm.
know the people and the area, which tourism has been a huge part of Qatar,
Yeah.
unlike Saudi, which is a more tech local industries
Hmm.
focused.
Interesting. Yeah.
Qatar is more into the sports, medical, and educational kind of
Okay.
field. So the 2030 is very broad. If I can just go back to my earlier point, why is it important in terms of
Sure.
economical diversification, and also there's a huge push for the private sector empowerment.
Right.
They're aiming to shift their focus from the public sector led growth, let's put it this way, to a private sector driven economies, which involves bringing a lot of foreign investments, which we'll talk about
Yeah.
later in this podcast. The what we call the PPPs, the public-private partnerships, and SME development. Uh, Also, we must note that the GCC combined, we are combined of around 56 million in terms of population.
Hmm.
50% of those are under 25 years. So there's a
Really?
lot of push
Okay.
for the youth and the
Yeah.
employment of youth, um, with a rising expectation, which we'll talk also about how they
Yeah.
are preparing the youth for this kind of new technology employment.
Yeah.
Also, it's a meaningful employment, providing with innovation hubs and education reform, if we can put it this way. Also, the global investments and openness. This is part of the vision to promote international partnership, improve easing the process of forming a business, also sustainability and smart cities. I mean,
Yeah.
NEOM by its own have invested $500 billion initiative just to use AI, renewable energy, and autonomous support.
Hmm.
This is just in Saudi Arabia. If we're talking about United Arab Emirates, we have the Mohammed bin Rashid Innovation Hub, the Dubai Future. Dubai, everybody knows Dubai. There
Yeah.
has been a focus on Dubai there before all the 2030 vision and all. Also, there's a lot of focus in cloud computing, cybersecurity, 5G rollout. These are huge in the Bahrain, actually, which I read the other day. Um, they are the leading in the GCC in cloud first policy and regional headquarters of AWS and other recognizable tech firms. Um, in Qatar, you have the initiative of Qatar Science and Technology Parks, Qatar Development Banks, which supports SMEs. They get funding, government initiatives, and it really matters because tech technology is an economical diversification to
Yeah.
support digitalization of government services and smart industries. and local talents. Just walking with the first world nation. Let's put it this way.
Okay.
They are seeking to reach that kind of level, to be recognized
Yeah.
as one of the hubs. So they are shifting. They are shifting a lot from on dependency to sustainability and diversification, renewable energy, wind energy. I remember we had this talk when I was at your facility, Michael, that Saudi Arabia currently exports solar panels to Germany.
Yeah.
And this it's mind-boggling. Actually, they were able to achieve this by introducing robotics into their facility.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, the 2030 pushes a lot of renewable energy adaptation. So there's a lot of information regarding this 2030 vision. I don't want to burn it all into the first question. So I mean, I'm gonna leave some room for like back and forth kind of.
Okay. Yeah, maybe just one question that came to mind. So 2030, you talked a long-term vision, but 2030 is around the corner. So
yes,
I think you mentioned you guys have been working away at this since the early 2000s. Is that right? When they first started to have this vision of diversification.
Correct.
So we're now well into the plan, and I find it fascinating how you said 52% is under 25. Was that 50, the number you said?
50%.
50%. So you have quite a young population, and I'm, here in North America, why robotics is important. We don't have for the ambitions we have for manufacturing, we don't have enough people, right? And traditionally, this goes back a number of years, but we grew up as a manufacturing area of the world, and that's how wealth came to North America, and it was built on productivity and manufacturing. And now when I go see factories, and talk to people there and why they want to adopt automation, they can't find people. Some of the dirty jobs, the young guys don't want to do anymore. And here, you're in your region of the world, and you've got, a wealthy nation, young population, this Vision 2030 that has exciting diversification, talking about technology, AI, but you also want to get into manufacturing, which is more, I guess, traditionally blue collar jobs. So how do you attract this youth into working in these factories?
Yes, with the drive of AI and technology, some of the hands-on dirty jobs are vanishing from our life and during our lifetime. So with the 2030 vision, they have taken into consideration such things. So with this, they have let's say liberalizing the business regulation. And introducing education in terms of STEM, for example, the science, technology, mathematics, and engineering. They are pushing for training, bringing a lot of technology in to train the youngs, introducing a lot of the curriculums into universities and schools. So they are preparing those 50% to balance out with the rest of the world in terms of digitalization, cloud computing, and the AI kind of era. Let's put it this way. Also, the initiatives by the government to easing the company's formation, as I mentioned, and offering funding and mentorship programs. There's a lot of focus on the youth and women in particular. So I mean, the government, like Saudi Arabia's what's it called, the Munshaat, which is I can't really find the proper translation for that name, but that's what it's called. It's a government body in Saudi Arabia that supports SMEs with funding, licensing, training. The Bahrain, they have Tamkeen, which grants and subsidize startups, workplaces, and development. In Qatar, as I mentioned, you have the Qatar Science and Technology Park. You have the Qatar Development Bank. So there's a lot of paving the way for the youngsters to
Okay.
to have them ready by 2030. And yes, we are 5 years away from 2030, but
Yeah.
they have started putting the plan together in the early 2000s, perhaps, and started
Yep.
adopting by the 2010, 2012 kind of thing.
Okay. And so when we looked at the numbers here, so the robot sector saw a 52% growth, right? So
Yeah,
when you see numbers like that, there's a tipping point usually that happened, or there's an event that happened,
yes,
a spark that ignited something. Um,
absolutely.
what would you say is driving specifically for robotics? What would you say is driving that growth that is coming to fruition? From all this planning, and now you're at this point. The GCC is at this point where the robotics center seems it's in a breakout. What's driving that?
Uh, so I may use Saudi Arabia as the main player here
Okay.
because it's the biggest.
Yeah.
But Saudi Arabia, as far as I know, they have introduced robotics by the late 90s, but it was
Okay.
it was very selective. It was maybe put in the biggest facilities that have to support the needs for population, and it was mainly put into F&B or F&B facilities to support the assembly line speed. Uh,
Okay. Food and beverage,
um,
F&B, right?
Food and
Just
beverage,
for those
yes,
folks,
yes,
everyone listening. Yeah.
correct, correct. But starting from the early 2010s, there was a huge boom. The boom
Okay.
came from,
Okay.
okay, it's also part of their planning of the 2030.
Yeah.
Perhaps Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates were the first to introduce such vision, and robotics had to be there to support the demand of reaching this vision in terms of manufacturing, and not only for the local market but also to um, export it to the global region.
Yeah.
It's good. It's important to note that the GCC countries, we sit literally in the heart of the world. So we are a very important channel for
Yeah.
exports and imports.
Yeah.
All ships pass through the Suez Canal.
Yeah.
So it's a very important, we have a lot of important ports that could support ships coming in and going out from the region. So that also plays a role in terms of supporting the exporting and the manufacturing away from the oil dependency. Like we can do manufacturing and we can export it. We have
Yeah.
the infrastructure for it. We have the ports, we have the channels, we are very close to the east, we're very close to the west. So
Yeah.
that came
Geographically, it's very strategic.
very strategic, very
Yeah.
strategic. Qatar, for example, strategically is a transit hub for aviation
Mhm.
sector. Anyone coming from Canada, for example, who wants to go to
Yeah.
Singapore or Japan or China, they will have to stop somewhere in the Middle East, which
Yeah.
most definitely Qatar. I believe you've had this flight before, Michael, didn't
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
On my way to Singapore. Yeah.
yeah. So the shift, it aligns perfectly with this 2030 vision, um, uh, to invest heavily in automation, AI, advanced manufacturing, to build resilience, to be a tech-driven economies.
Yeah.
And robotics, to be honest with you, Michael, is coming at the heart of this transformation. I think I read the other day that there was a whole 3D built in Jeddah, a 3D mosque that was entirely built by robotics. So there's a lot of,
Really? Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of push for 3D printing, not only
Yeah.
using, also in composite materials. There are
Yeah.
some, a lot of exciting stuffs happening in here,
Yeah.
especially in Saudi Arabia. I would
Yeah.
say UAE as well.
Okay.
Qatar, Bahrain are smaller markets, but there's a lot of drive into diversification of the robotics integration into different sectors of
Yeah.
um,
Well, I
of
think you touched upon
manufacturing.
that earlier, where you said, okay, the region GCC has this, everyone's kind of adopted a 2030 vision, but everybody has their own flavor of it, right?
True,
So
true,
Saudi
true.
Arabia, I think you mentioned, is more technology, manufacturing, and in those type of things, where
True.
Qatar is more towards, I guess, sports, um, entertainment. Maybe just elaborate a little bit on some of the differences in how the different players are approaching it.
Okay, since I'm in Qatar, and I'll take Qatar as an example in
Yeah.
comparison to Saudi Arabia or the United Arab Emirates.
Okay.
Qatar is a very small market, so for their 2030 vision, it should be a very targeted integration of selected sectors. They are really focused here into energy and healthcare, smart cities. Uh, Smart cities meaning we have like a new downtown, what we call it in Doha here, that is very that's it's all sustainable. They use solar panels to generate air conditioning for open space, so you can just walk freely in downtown during summertime, and you won't feel like it's 50 degrees outside.
Yeah.
In Qatar, I would say the primary use of robotics in Qatar would be for the smart infrastructure of
Mm.
energy operation, healthcare. There's a lot of integration of robotics into surgery here. A lot of
Yeah.
notable, what you call it, notable names in the medical industries are
Okay.
coming into Qatar. The ecosystem of robotics is smaller in Qatar in comparison to the fast growing and commercialized, the 2,300 robotics company in 2023. So
Yeah.
the ecosystem of robotics is smaller and highly research focused in
Okay.
terms of adaptation into the market right away. For the economical focus, for example, digital services is very strong in here, extremely strong actually. The digital services in Qatar is mind-boggling. Everything can be done in a touch of a button through your phone.
Really.
So
Yeah.
digitalization is a huge factor. Education, Qatar Foundation have brought six of the most notable universities around the world, like Carnegie Mellon, like Georgetown, like Texas A&M, uh, Carnegie Mellon. So those are notable names in the university world.
Yeah.
So it's a very educational driven, very sports driven. It's a very high tech sector, very niche. Qatar is a very niche. You have to be very selective in comparison to Saudi, which is a more manufacturing, more industrial output, more global export competitiveness, Um,
Yeah.
so the industrial backbone for Qatar is healthcare, uh, high-tech driven digitalization, energy, unlike Saudi Arabia, which is a more manufacturing driven industrial output.
Yeah. Yeah. And that really plays into some of the numbers that we were sharing. I talked earlier, we talked about the 4,000 factories by 2035 that Saudi Arabia
Right, right,
was aiming to automate. But the bigger picture, the bigger, broader target is they have a goal of 36,000 factories,
right.
and with the ambition to establish themselves as a digital superpower. So, you
Correct.
know, that 2,344 robotics companies is potentially just the drop of the bucket if for a broad target like that.
I mean, Michael, the government of Saudi Arabia is going all out. They are redefining the region, honestly, with
Hmm.
the role in their global manufacturing. Uh, they want to position themselves as the first true industrial tech hub of the Arab world. Let's put it this way.
Yeah.
They are the center, they are the wealthiest, so they have all the raw material to export, to be a high tech producer, to be a competitive manufacturing base.
Yeah.
Uh, Also, it signals a shift from a very labor intensive to a knowledge intensive
Yeah.
by what we spoke earlier in this podcast, by providing the infrastructure for the youth to integrate into this kind of new technology world. So Saudi Arabia is definitely leading the charge here, and the impact of Saudi Arabia, it echoes around the GCC. So here in the GCC, like, think of it as a family. Everyone that, if Saudi does something, you will hear about it right away. You won't wait like a day or two.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it cascades
Okay.
around the GCC. It's everywhere. People will talk about it. So it's a healthy competition. It's honestly a healthy competition, and
Yeah.
it's diversified. So the Saudi is like the dad of the
Okay.
family.
Okay.
I want to use this example. Put
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia as a dad, and maybe UAE is the mom. Put it this way, and the
Okay.
rest are the
Yeah.
the kids who are empowering by this healthy competition. So
Okay.
it's a tech ecosystem. It's
Yeah.
it's a supply chain localism, and it's a job market shift. Policy synchronization. Let's put it this way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. I mean, it's, yes, a competition stimulates everybody to kind of pull up their socks and get in the game, right? Is
true.
there cross GCC initiatives to share robotics expertise or to share technology? Is the government kind of
Yes.
stimulating like collaboration as well?
I mean, from Qatar perspective, I would say the collaboration within the GCC is seen as a key in terms of accelerating robotics and
Yeah. Okay.
automation ambition sector across all members of the state,
Yeah.
giving the scale of transformation that is underway, especially led
Yeah.
by the Saudis. Qatar recognizes that pooling resources and expertise, infrastructure will multiply the impact for the entire Gulf. They do
Mhm.
recognize this factor, which is very important and very smart from the government entities to recognize this factor, that collectively we can be a hub for the global image. So Qatar views itself as a knowledge hub in
Okay.
the region. With
Okay.
They have a deep expertise in academia research and medical
Okay.
research and smart infrastructure. We can dig a little bit deep in each and every one of those sectors, but I hope the time can save us to do that. But
Yeah.
they are very academia research driven and R&D driven. Um, it also it aims to complement Saudi Arabia's industrial scale by
Yeah.
contributing of, as I said, R&D or cutting edge precision robotics, just like what AVR
Sure.
does,
Yeah.
and talent development. That's for sure. Uh, the universities are introducing um, and encouraging a bilateral and multilateral partnerships with
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia, UAE, and others to ensure the Gulf benefits collectively. They don't want to,
Okay.
each one, they do want to shine separately, but, collectively we complement each other. If you are good
Yeah.
at this, I'll take it from you. Thank you for helping me with that. I'm good with this. Do you
Yeah.
want to use this? So it's a very nice ecosystem to help one another, and they are
Okay.
all
So
connected by land. So
yeah.
transportation and logistics is very helpful in this matter.
Yeah. Not unlike the relationship between the United States and Canada. I think we have a
It's
lot of the,
kind of
you
shifty
know,
right now, but
it's a little bit shifty right now. I think,
yeah,
there's changes happening and there's problems to fix.
true.
Um, I think you know, each, the US had some things that they had to get on top of, and they kind of shuffled the deck a little bit.
Right.
I think we'll get back to being good cousins again, and or maybe it's the father father-children relationship. I'm not sure because the U.S. is
Yeah,
quite a bit. It's a superpower compared to Canada, but we have our own strengths, right? And I
true.
think that's
Yes,
what traditionally we relied on as well too to collaborate. Was each of us had our strengths, and so I can see a lot
yes.
of parallels there. Maybe a different point in relationships, though, right? I think
I agree.
right now
I
there seems
definitely
to be a
agree.
good synergy in the GCC, and everybody's working together
Yes,
and
yes.
heading
And
in the same
it's
direction.
it's 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 good to note that all I mean Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates, which plays the bigger role in this vision, the leaders are young, so they
Yeah,
they think alike, and they
yeah,
are driven towards the technology and and also Michael, it
yeah.
surprises me how many exhibitions and regular hosts of technology and industrial summits that goes around in the regions, where also
Hmm,
robotics and automation is a core topic on those exhibitions. I'll be
hmm.
happy to, welcome you into those
Yeah,
exhibitions. Yeah, like we have the
that'd be
Dubai Air Show.
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, and just 2 months ago, there was the second Web Summit, which is a very e-commerce kind of high-tech driven
Okay.
summit that goes. This is the second year that happens in Qatar. Um, there's a lot of connectivity between the region in terms of exhibitions and what to host and what not.
Okay.
Just to put together a policymaker, around the area, the industry leaders, the academia, the members of the states, they want to align. Let's put a regulatory framework
Okay.
to standardize it, to use the best practice from each and everyone's region.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is a very healthy and sustainable kind of environment. You feel like the push.
Yeah.
You feel like the uh, the 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 vibe that is okay. It's high tech. It's high tech. It's cloud computing. It's Microsoft. It's IA. It's robotics. Um, they are still not as highly technologically advanced
Hmm.
like the US or the Canada or the
Okay.
European market, but they are on the right path.
Yeah, for
They
sure.
are
For
definitely on
sure.
the right path. Yes.
Yeah. I remember when I went to Singapore, just the the infrastructure. There was so much technology built into it. So, and I'm imagining I haven't been, and I'd love to take you up on your offer to come to have a tour and see some of these, be part of some of these summits and trade shows. But
I'd love to.
I'm imagining the smart cities. Here in Canada, we're just starting to think about that and adopt some things. But the digitization is we're going through our own bumps,
Yes. Yes.
adopting it. So just
Mhm.
I had some fun on my travels where I lost my license and being able to go online. Our brand new website just didn't work, and the so it we have work to do, and I feel that you guys are ahead on that.
Yeah. I mean,
But
we spoke earlier. Yes. Sorry, I cut you there.
oh no,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. Yeah, finish. Yeah,
I mean, I lived in Canada for 10 years, as you know,
yeah,
and I'm a frequent visitor. Like I go back to Canada every year. In terms of digitalization, I can firsthand tell you that we are way ahead.
yeah.
I mean, I had to renew my license when I went back to Canada a couple months ago, and that I still haven't received my new driver's license. Where here I can just do it by my phone, and I will receive it
Yeah.
tomorrow. So
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
we are ahead in the digitalization market. Also, banking system. I feel
Okay.
like we are ahead in that game. So yeah, the countries have invested a lot of integration into the digitalization world. So
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, we are ahead in some games, but we are still a long way from achieving some of the highest end technology in terms of AI and robotics. But
Yeah.
we are on the right
Yeah.
path. We are definitely on the right path. But
Well, and that brings.
but, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. I know I'm going to let you finish. Go for it. Yeah.
Uh, um, I wanted to, build on the exhibitions that happens around the region
Okay.
and what goes around exchange of talents. There is also a lot of shared research and development. They are leveraging the universities, as I mentioned, and the research hubs. They are collaborating on our R&D joint projects focused on robotics. Saudi Arabia is very huge and big on that. The healthcare here is extremely booming. The manufacturing and smart cities. NEOM has, you're gonna like this. So NEOM is like a brand new city by the coast of the
Okay.
Red Sea, and they have what an oxygon, which is an industrial part of NEOM. And
Okay.
this oxygon is going to be 100% zero net carbon-free industrial
Wow.
city, and it's all AGV and AMR driven. All it's very robotic driven. Um,
Yeah.
Qatar is on this path as well. They
Wow.
have the Qatar Foundation, which is it's a it's a unity or a formation of multiple things into one piece of land. They
Yeah.
have brought all the universities that I have mentioned earlier. They have high schools there. They have national libraries there. They have hospitals there. So it's all under one ecosystem, one eco-sustainable system. So
Hmm.
there's a lot of shared talent between each and every, but you
Yeah.
can see how Qatar is different from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Each has their own focus. So yeah,
You know, yeah, it's just amazing the ambition and the planning, but also the execution, because all these things you're talking about, these are real projects that are
yes.
happening, they're being built, and so I just find that amazing that not only the ambition is there, but the execution and going through and trying this stuff.
I believe the execution for those projects was successful due to two factors,
Yeah.
which is a very low labor cost and
Okay.
very wealthy nations.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those two factors played a huge role into
Yeah.
being very fast into tackling the 2030 vision.
Yeah. Now let's go back and let's go back to manufacturing and
Right.
the that 4,000 factories by 2030 that Saudi Arabia's
It's a big
looking to
number, isn't it? You
automate.
always
Yeah,
go
it
refer
is,
back to yeah.
right? And well, yeah, that's what started this conversation. I was like, really that much? And the
Yes,
growth of robotics in such a short
true.
period of time. Um, these plans are great. The ambition is great. The execution, but there's always challenges.
Right.
So what are some of the hurdles that are happening right now? That maybe there's some people listening that might have ideas, solutions, stuff like that. So what are some of the things that uh, you guys are looking
There are
for?
many factors that goes around this,
Yeah.
but they are tackling those issues. High capital cost. This is,
Yeah.
but we are a very wealthy nation, so they have put a substantial upfront investment.
Hmm.
Uh, so this is a hurdle, high capital cost.
Yeah.
Um, the um, the technology, the hardware, the brain, the software, and the infrastructure are all imported. So
Yeah.
this is another hurdle. It's a huge factor, but there are there are many small and mid-sized enterprise, the SMEs, that finds those costs prohibitive. So this
Hmm.
is a huge hurdle in the SMEs.
Yeah. Okay.
Dependency on foreign technology
Yeah.
is another one. Uh, the GCC countries, they currently import much of its robotics hardware and software um, from global techs like AVNR. Let's put AVNR as an
Yeah.
example
Yeah.
here. This creates also a risks of around supply chain.
Yeah.
disruption, this a technology transfer, long-term sustainability. So the workforce skill gap is a huge factor here.
Hmm. Yeah.
Automation demands workforce. You have to train the
Yeah.
skilled labor, the robotic operation. You know,
Yeah.
you have to operate. I
Yeah.
can import the technology, but how I'm going to sustain it alone? I can
Yeah.
have a maintenance contract with a company or a support contract, but that's going to end. So what are you going to do later? So
Yeah.
the robotic operation, the programming, the maintenance, the integrating complexity to put
Yeah.
together a system that will allow this facility to operate
Yeah.
internally without the dependency on foreign technology.
Yeah. Sure.
Those are um, the main hurdles of those. But they are addressing them. It's not like
Yeah.
okay, so let's get them here and just forget about it. No, they are addressing the
Yeah.
matter. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you're not alone because we deliver into many different countries and just put ourselves into to talk about us in our shoes. We want to make sure our customers are well supported. And as big as we
True.
think we are, we're still an SME, right? And how do we support all these robots worldwide and empowering the end user and making our it's a constant battle to make it as easy as possible because it's
True.
as soon as you have it to a certain level, there's always improvements to do to make it even easier to use and to maintain. So that's a journey to continue to make tools that folks that on the other side of the world can actually be empowered to improve, to maintain, to troubleshoot. So that's an important part of our business as well, trying to uh, unlock that potential.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct, 100%.
Yeah,
But in order also to overcome those hurdles and
yeah,
obstacles, you need support. You
yeah,
definitely need some kind of support. So
yeah.
if you don't have the support, you might, not able to compete with the big players in the market.
Right.
So
So you
this
need
is,
good
I think,
partners.
exactly.
Yeah,
You need very
yeah.
good partners, uh, um, government initiatives, which is this is part of addressing the problem with the SMEs in here to
Hmm.
overcome what we spoke about earlier, is the government incentives and funding for SMEs,
Yeah.
and building a robotic ecosystem. Let's put it this way. For example, I'll give you an example for the robotics, since we're like
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
it's a robotic world that we're talking here. So
Hmm.
there's an initiative by the Saudi Robotics Society and
Okay.
Technology Park. For example, they promote local R&D and manufacturing capabilities. This is giving a lot of funding for the SMEs to focus on the R&D. I want you to learn and not only learn what's there currently. No, I want you to research and develop on top of it. So that's very
Okay.
important. So I
Yeah.
can later on, I'm the one who goes on to the world and train and
Yeah.
they want to flip the page.
Yeah.
you know so they want to go crossways. I want
Yeah.
to bring the technology. Yes, I'm importing the hardwares and the softwares, but I will also research, develop on it, so I'm able to give back,
Yeah.
which
Enhance
is
it.
which is a very smart
Yes.
thing to do. There's a partnership with robotic firms to encourage technology transfer, which is
Hmm.
Saudi Arabia specifically focuses on that, and they
Okay.
put some kind of conditions for the big
Okay.
players that if you want to work with us, you have to come with your technology.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yes, uh, especially for the big players. Like, okay,
Okay.
yes, I'll give you like tax exemptions. They will give them facilities, infrastructures. Like,
Yeah.
just I was in Bahrain yesterday, which is
Yeah.
a 2 hours drive. That's how convenient the GCC logistics is. And on my way to Bahrain, I passed by the King Salman Energy Park,
Okay.
which is part of Mudun, Mudun is a government entity in Saudi Arabia which enhances the infrastructure for factories. And if you take a tour in that energy park, that's what the King Salman Energy Park, you would see ABB's facility, you would see Oracle facility, you would see Microsoft. So they are bringing all the technology here to build on. So, which is a smart thing to do. They are good with pilot programs and phased rollouts, like adopting automation gradually through the pilot projects. That's another thing they do. To improve also their return of investments, to optimize their integration. Let's put it this way. I mean, the workforce development programs, that's also a factor. The Saudi Arabia is investing heavily in the technical and vocational training focused on robotics. Robotic and Industry 4.0. This could be 2 podcasts with 4.0 industry into the smart factors that require the 4.0 integration. So there's a lot of push towards the 4.0 industry. Collaborating with universities is also addressing those matters. International training to ensure the pipeline is qualified for the future.
Yeah, it sounds like they're really making a concerted effort to make it a great place to invest. Like, you talked about some of the tax exemption, like incentives, and the infrastructure that is there ready for companies to set up, do business, and be at a strategically located area.
You're right. Going back to the Web Summit, that's what happened here in Qatar 2 months ago. The Ministry of Trade kind of announced that anyone who signs up or establish a company within the exhibition period, which was 3 days, they will be exempt from taxes for the next 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so they have some very attracting deals that really, no matter what. I mean, I'll do it regardless. There's tax exemptions. You don't pay registration fees. Those are kind of pulls you. Like, think, do business, do something, think ahead. So there's a lot of initiatives and nice incentives. We are still a tax-free country in terms of goods, which is something very nice. But we do, but we still do pay, tax on our revenues by, after you audit by the end of the year. But it's different from one country to another, but it's not that high of a percentage.
Yeah. Interesting. We're getting close to our time here. So, and there's so much. There's we haven't covered. We've made it to maybe 75% of what we wanted to go through this. So maybe we have to do another one down the road and catch up on progress and how things are going. But how can Qatar and other GC countries contribute to this vision? How can folks like in Montreal contribute to the vision of what are the things that are important to think about as we look forward and as all the GCC heads towards the 2030?
See, Michael, because I'm familiar with both societies, I feel like there's a gap. I feel like there's a gap in terms of information exchange, in terms of we don't understand how we work. It's a different ecosystem. It's cultural. Yes, there's a cultural barrier, but this region is very open-minded, regardless of what others may think. But it's a very open-minded area in terms of business and in terms of exchanging information. So bridging the gap by visiting the region, researching a little bit about it, go around the cities, meet
Yeah.
with the people. Um, I think it's a huge fact. That's a huge factor is to come in here, visit the countries. We're like 1 hour flight from each one.
Yeah.
Uh, Cover the areas that interest you. Um,
Yeah.
Investigate more whether you would like to transfer your technology here. Obviously, after this podcast, the infrastructure is there, the foundation is
Yeah.
there, the incentives are there. Um, there's a lot of mainly what we spoke about today is localization, but we
Mm.
haven't spoke about international companies coming in and
Yeah.
establishing their entities in here. That's another topic, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
attraction. They're really attracting a lot of companies. We are mainly the GCC kind of dependent a lot of the East rather than the West.
Mm.
And
Okay.
if we're going to the West, we're talking about Europe because
Yeah.
it's closer to us in terms of geographical location. We are
Okay.
4 hours away from Greece and Italy, for example. We're 6 hours away from London, while we are 11 hours away from Canada. So,
Yeah.
uh, bridging the gap, coming in, um, investigating what's going on, what's the vision, how can I contribute, is a huge factor into
Yeah.
playing around this. Let's put it this
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
More reasons to come and visit. It sounds like you're building a strong case.
I mean,
Okay.
yes, we started
Yeah.
about 50 degrees Celsius right now, so don't come visit us now. Maybe in winter time, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
November, December
I'm
is a
not built
great
for that
time.
type of heat. Yeah. Above 30 and I start to complain. So
You get used to it. Imagine me living in Canada in an extreme
yeah.
cold and coming in for extreme heat. That was
Yeah.
a huge shift. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting area. There's a
Yeah.
lot of nice things to see, a lot of activities. It's a beautiful people, very cheerful,
Yeah.
we love to laugh and go out and hang out. It's a very
Okay.
nice area to be around.
Well, that bridges right into my final one that I always love to end with is see what do you like to do in your spare time in this 50-degree heat and surrounded by all this
So
this
yes,
yeah.
I mean because the region is very hot most of
Yeah.
the year, we have a lot of indoor activities. But when the
Yeah.
weather is nice, the weather at night is still okay right now. But when the weather is good, we have a lot of beautiful coastal lines. So we are
Yeah.
always by the beach. We love
Okay.
kayaking, kiting, surfing, fishing. We have beautiful dune sands, very kind of crystal clear water. So we're always by the
Wow.
beach. That's what I really like. Take the kids to the beach. They love to play with the
Yeah.
sand. Um, I used to play basketball when I was a kid a lot,
Okay.
and that's my favorite hobby. So we do
Yeah.
play once I have the time, And right now it's difficult with
Okay.
kids and running my business.
Is
So
basketball a big deal in Qatar and
a
in
very good
GCC?
question, Michael. You
Yeah.
know what? Next year we are hosting the World Cup, Basketball World Cup here in
Okay.
Qatar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basketball is a big thing here. They don't have much of a crowd, but
Yeah.
um, now they're attracting eyes by
Yeah.
basketball. Again, this is part of attracting eyes to the region.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, soccer is the biggest sport here. We don't have a lot of hockey.
Yeah.
I know the Oilers are doing well, so
Yeah. One
yeah,
win away
one
from
win away.
going to
Yes,
the finals.
finals.
That's
Yes,
right.
fingers crossed.
Yep.
So yeah, that's what I like to do.
Okay.
Mainly stay
Okay.
by the beach or play basketball.
Okay. Well, Rasan, it's been a real pleasure. I thank you for giving me a little insight into what's going on in your area of the world, and bridging that gap that you talked about of just learning about each other and understanding, what's going on and what are your ambitions and what's that region's ambitions for, stability, for prosperity, and yeah, it's been fascinating. So I really appreciate your time.
Well, I appreciate you, Michael. Thank you for having me. It was
Yeah,
an absolute pleasure to be on your podcast, which I'm a big fan of.
I
Uh,
appreciate that. Again, you're gonna make me
uh,
blush.
No, it's a pleasure to talk about these topics and try to bridge the gap um, between the West and the East. Let's put it this way.
Yeah, yeah,
And I look forward for many podcasts if you're open to it.
absolutely, absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's great. Great. Thank you again, and have a great day.
Thank you, Michael. You too. Thank you.
So this concludes the episode of Robotics for All podcast by AV&R. If you don't want to miss another single episode, don't forget to subscribe to our show in your favorite podcast app. Thank you very much, everyone, and we'll talk again soon.